Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the World Champion in the blue, our first finalist, the Terran from Team Liquid. It's Clem, but up against his greatest nemesis and the rank 1 Protoss player in the world, the mysterious MaxPax, in a best-of-5 Protoss versus Terran finals between the two fastest, most aggressive, and allegedly most handsome players in the game. And while I might not be able to compete on any of those fronts, I can compete for the love of the algorithm by begging you to like and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,470 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And while these two are still going, probably for like a decade, I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. A Zealot first from MaxPax in order to undercut any of these salacious activities that Clem gets up to. Unfortunately, well, actually, I take it back. Fortunately, the Zealot will be able to avoid that first Reaper, which is having quite a look around, looking for the proxies. And Clem knows MaxPax so well that instead of sending the Reaper straight across the map, he didn't SCV scout, but he intercepts the Zealot. Now, this is entirely a mind game. He was guessing that MaxPax, instead of just sitting back and building up to the first Adept as we dance in and out of the bushes here. Stay in the bushes. Stay in the trees. The Zealot actually manages to evade it, and here we go. The Zealot coming in. The shields are regenerating. Here comes the Adept. 2 Marines off the line. Command Center will finish. Oh, and the Reaper will ascend to the heavens in the way the jetpack never could take it. Clem sacrifices the Reaper. The Zealot and Adept in deep conversation. Mentally, of course, but they stare at each other so you can see the look in their eyes. And now Clem has finished his bunker, correctly anticipating a need for a bit more than just the Marines on defense. And, well, playing with fire here. Technically, the Marines have more range than the Adepts, and the Hellion can abuse that supply depot as well, saves the SCV. And now, who's locked in here with whom? Whomst. No, not that. Well, Hellion actually snipes off one of the Adepts with the Zealot marching forward, slowly but surely closing in and helping kill off a couple more SCVs. Already such an aggressive start. The Hellion, one Adept hit away, maybe? The Marines trying to finish this off. No, the Hellion! It's left with 2 HP, just not quite enough. The Adept still waiting to see if the Hellion gets too ambitious. But Clem will repair it. Adept coming back in, throwing the shade. But once that Hellion gets repaired, it should be able to hunt it down. It doesn't matter how many units these players have. They are going to be throwing them directly at their opponent and microing them so beautifully it looks intentional. And of course it is. But don't try this at home. Medevac on the way out. Clem with 2 Widow Mines and 4 Marines while he duels with the Adept. The Hellion going back and forth, heating things up. The Adept manages to call the bluff on the shade. And back to the bushes. Oh, unfortunately, though, once again, that Hellion just survives with barely enough HP. The Adept goes down. The Hellion will go back to be repaired. And now it's MaxPax's turn. It's on his home turf right now as the Stalker's blink is done. Very important. Gets on top of the medevac, knocks it out of the sky with all but a couple Marines. 1 Widow Mine. The sacrifice, I think he almost was able to dodge it into the assimilator. But not quite. The bulwark is being built. The anti-blink Stalker bulwark here. We're literally just shoving a bunch of buildings in between the blink edge of the base and the siege tech. And that's it. That's the entire purpose here. It might make some of your tech vulnerable, but if the blink Stalkers are able to get a toehold with their little fancy toes inside the base, you're going to have even more problems as time goes on. So this has become the kind of pseudo wall-off to deal with this sort of blink Stalker aggression that MaxPax almost always brings to the table. And Clem, well-versed in dealing with it, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. Just 4 Stalkers for now. MaxPax already has taken a 3rd Nexus. He can blink out from the natural here. Loses one of the Stalkers. And another one. Ooh, gotta be careful not to stub your toe on some of those minerals. Meanwhile, the Hellion is back. Raven into the main, as these two will not let up. The turrets being slapped on the Hellion somehow made it into the natural targets, down 3 probes. An observer looking in on Clem's base, but very importantly, MaxPax has already finished his 3rd Nexus, which allows him, he's in a position where he just needs to play active defense. He's already building a Colossus. Now, we're not on the new patch, all right? Believe me, you'll know. Whenever the intern updates it to the live servers, most tournaments have kind of reverted back to the live patch because we're in purgatory at the moment. But even now, the Colossus has been seeing a bit of a resurgence. You need the Colossi in order to compete with the Bio-Army. Storms, far too expensive. Disruptors, unreliable. The Colossi standing tall, there's a relatively small window. Somewhat ironically, the Colossi are extra effective. And that window is before there's enough medevacs out there, before the Terran has enough production to be whipping out a couple dozen Vikings. Okay, more like a dozen. But when that production hasn't yet spooled up and you're limited to 2 or 4 medevacs of bio, like Clem, did he see what was happening here? Because Clem actually sent the medevacs out to try to intercept the stalkers from the back instead of directly across the map. But I digress. Those Colossi with extended thermal lance are the best way to keep the Terrans at bay and still have a transition maybe later on into Ruptors to deal with Ghosts. Or at least have some cover for Storm. But the 2 Colossi stepping down. They don't have the extended thermal lances yet, but as long as the siege tanks... Well, the siege tanks are actually in the medevac. He doesn't care. He just dunks on top of it. The tanks don't need siege mode when they have medevacs. Wow. MaxPax underestimating Clem's... both his forward nature and his tenacity. As the medevacs just dunked down and another Colossus tumbled to the ground. Extended thermal lance is done for one more Colossus. Widowmon softens things up. That one tank at the back is sniped off. Blinkstalkers mostly make it back around. There's not enough bio left over to really press through. And MaxPax may have lost a lot of his army supply, but he does maintain not 3 but 4 bases. Raven comes back in for more stalkers being warped into the main. Reinforcements headed across the map. Vikings in production. Widowmine at the 4th base. And these 2... even blinks out of it. Wow. It didn't get any kills. He actually noticed it burrow and set up his defenses. A probe on patrol. Vikings hit the deck. Seems a bit unnecessary. Oh, he was trying to drop out and hit the same key. Meanwhile, Colossus standing tall. +1 done. Charges as well. Just 1 Widowmine, and it could backfire pretty easily. 2 Vikings, 1 Vikings. That's not enough Vikings to challenge these Colossi, but the Marauders coming in from the north side. Knock down 1. A second one taking a lot of damage, but the Stalkers and the Charge Lots are able to zone out. That Raven still just hanging out in the main, able to take out the shield battery. Counterattacking Zealots charging forth. Reinforcements will be able to clean him up. MaxPax finishes off his 4th base. Clem's established his 3rd. Neither player has really missed a beat back at home macroing, despite constantly fighting across the map. Wow. Even for these 2, quite a heavy-handed exchange. We finally get a bit of a breather. Well, and by that I mean only one of them is trying to murder the other at the moment. But that will change momentarily. That Raven's still at the back. It's now MaxPax's turn once again to try to get aggressive. As Clem, he was whittled down enough. Ooh, those Blink Stalkers shaving off a couple Marauders, gonna lose a Stalker. But dealing with the critical mass of bio units is so important at this stage. MaxPax doesn't yet have all of the tech he needs to just keep Clem at bay. He's relying on the mobility of his units and harrying them across the map, so that way Clem can't get into position to just smash him. Because the Terran army, on equal supply, especially since the Ghost isn't 3 supply yet, is almost always going to beat a Protoss army that isn't perfectly positioned or has a superior technological advantage. And right now, having just Colossi against someone who already has Vikings and comparable upgrades is not that technological advantage. So, but quantity is a quality all its own. As MaxPax is going up to 10 gates, he shoves forward. There's not enough. He blunks forward to kill the Vikings. EMPs land. 2, 3 Vikings still on the field. Going to be forced back. Snipes off a Ghost. Going for more. And again, MaxPax is able to surgically strike those Ghosts from the field. Yes, He will lose a couple more Stalkers. But again, whittling down the Ghosts and the Vikings is exactly what he needs to maintain momentum. He's building a few more probes now. I think it's very intentional that he's not adding on like 80, 85 probes. He doesn't want that level of army supply. He needs to build as many units as possible and make sure that Clem cannot overwhelm him. There's a Warp Prism split off with a few charge lots. Vikings over the top. Force Field optimistic. EMP washes over the front line. Zealots on top of the bunker. Viking chasing the Warp Prism. He might have an opportunity to warp it. It's already too late. Meanwhile, Colossi still dueling on the field, but there's not enough gateway units left to protect. Trying to snipe off one more Viking. Blinks up to the high ground. Colossus in the red. And almost dead. Another wave of Zealots is warped in. Supplies almost there. A Shrine to Dark is halfway done. +3 ground weapons and +1 armor for MaxPax. Armor much closer to finishing. Meanwhile, 2-2 for Clem. As we slow down a bit, getting up to 140 supply. Both these players have easily been able to max out by 9 minutes in the past. The fact that both of them have had decent economies, yet haven't gotten close to maxing out, clearly shows you how constant these battles have been. And again, chasing down. Ooh, never say die, the last words of the Ghost. Not living up to them in so many ways. Infantry weapons level 2 almost done. Now a fleet of Vikings. The Danish player surely knowledgeable about how dangerous they can be. Meanwhile, though, doing a great job of sniping them off. 8 Vikings have died thus far. 4 Colossi, though, as well. Still no intentions of any other form of splash damage from MaxPax. Not bothering with Archons. Hasn't even built a Disruptor or even an Immortal. DT Blink is on the way. MaxPax going to try to undercut Clem with the Dark Templar. And that is a strategy that's worked against him in the past. The Terran army, while incredibly and almost unfathomably powerful in the hands of the Frenchmen, has crumbled when dealing with DTs, charge lot run-bys. You simply can't be everywhere at once. You just get damn close to it. So the Stalkers still exchanging fire. MaxPax constantly doing some aggressive scouting by keeping the Stalkers right on the edge of the army. Also, that serves the secondary purpose of keeping Clem slightly at bay. He's scared that the moment he moves forward, he might get a couple of his units shaved off, so he has to be so careful. More Vikings going down, but enough of them to threaten the Colossi. Guardian Shield. Shield battery overcharge as well. Trying to box it out, but another army knocks out a Nexus. But Warp Prism gets into the main, and it will not die before the warping completes. Trying to hold the gates here. Meanwhile, though, MaxPax moves forward, trying to engage while he has the opportunity, and Clem caught off guard, dealing with the Warp Prism at the back. MaxPax opens up a 20 supply lead, but Clem still stimming forward, working on the natural. The Zealots and DTs in the main, EMP'd, reinforcements dealing with it. He pushes back a command center. Zealots will drive away to the medevacs, which actually swerve back in towards the natural on the other side, and there's not enough Stalkers to knock them down. But Clem drops 30 supply, and MaxPax maintains all but his outlying bases. There's still a Zealot in the main. And 4 kills. Viking hits the deck to deal with it. 81 probes for MaxPax, 10 gates and counting. He's been working off 1 robo this whole time, but it's been working out for him indeed. And it feels like MaxPax has taken control of this game. Clem has not been able to exert that level of map control that we're so used to seeing. MaxPax with near perfect Blink Stalker, both decision making and micro. And without both parts of that puzzle, it becomes a lot more difficult to follow through. And MaxPax with money in the bank and still enough supply open to warp in. I don't think it's a mistake that he's not... Oh, he freed up a little supply so he could warp in 7 Dark Templar. The Ghost sniped off more Vikings. He's so actively knocking down those Vikings. Trying to come down the ramp, caught between a rock and a hard place. Clem putting the Marauders and the Ghosts out in front, which are not nearly as vulnerable to Colossus fire, in the literal sense. But the DTs. There is a planetary. 10 Dark Templar. Ready to swipe through. They do have DT Blink, and that planetary, I don't think armor would save it, but he certainly doesn't have it. So, MaxPax trying to bring the attention of Clem forward. His army is relatively weak here. He's gonna bring the charge lots to the left side. He's engaged mid-fight. Clem not paying attention, and the planetary dies before Clem even looks at it. Beautifully timed. MaxPax with the bait and switch, and he knocks out Clem's most actively mining base. And now the income heavily in favor of the Protoss. It drops off a cliff for Clem, who's down to single-digit mineral patches. What a masterclass, a grand masterclass from MaxPax against the World Champion. And I'll say, unlike some of the games we've seen from him, where Clem just makes some real key mistakes, it feels like Clem just never got anything going. It's not over yet. Never base trade a Terran. As MaxPax, he does have another outlying base. Clem has to come back to defend. Clem has no fresh mining bases anymore. MaxPax has about 1.5. So, I think this scenario, trading one of your 3 bases, your 3 effective bases, for their last mining base. And now, finally, the finishing move. Disruptors. Not until the Dark Templar got their work done do we bring out the second of the double Ds of destruction. The Disruptors and the Dark Templar. Fires off a warning shot. We'll give it, generously calling it that. The Vikings knocking down one Colossus. Marauders moving forward. Throws a curveball out there. Another Ruptor coming in. The Bio Army's still incredibly strong. Zealots on the other side. Carving through SCVs. EMP's still helping out. No, those are DTs. Clem, all he has left is this army. Going to go forward. Trying to win the game off it, but the Disruptor, oh no, that wasn't the right one! And the Disruptor knocks out Clem's army and finishes what the rest of the army started. MaxPax with an immaculate game. One of the best Protoss versus Terran games I've ever seen. He lost more Zealots than Clem lost Marines. He lost 11 Colossi, but he won the game. Wow. An impressive display from MaxPax, keeping active control of the situation from start to finish. Those Blink Stalkers doing everything they could without overextending. And Clem never found, like, the Stalkers were always about 2 pixels out of vision range. He knows the map is dark and full of Terran, so keeping tabs on him is top priority. And, well, speaking of tabs, Jimmy, game 2. Sorry. MaxPax chrono boosting into game 2. Like I was saying, it didn't feel like Clem made any critical decision-making mistakes. It's just, he usually relies on that near-perfect and honestly somewhat exploitative Terran micro in order to carry him to victory. But MaxPax was just too heavy this time. That made sense, alright? That sounded profound. On Alcyone, game 2. The Reaper first. A 1-Rax expand out of Clem. Last game as well was the quick expand, which Clem usually thrives with the early aggression, the 2-gas into factory. That's the staple. But in the last few games, or in the last game, and this one as well, going for the 1-Rax expand in a bunker, which does cede some of the early initiative to MaxPax. The idea is you get such an economy early, you can build up and hit that like early stim timing, or the follow-up 2-base tank push a little bit quicker, ideally quick enough to shut down the Blink Stalkers. But MaxPax kind of superseded that by getting such a quick third. He recognized he was dealing with the 1-Rax expand, the greedier build with less aggressive potential, and just fought fire with fire, at least economically. Adepts throwing shade. No Zealot this time. Hellion on the way, looking very similar in terms of builds to game number 1. Blink is on the way. Let's see if he follows up with Widow Mines off the factory. Indeed he does. Robotics, a quick robo for MaxPax. I think he wants to get more aggressive. He's going to shift gears. Instead of going for a very quick third, it looks much more like some heavy Blink Stalker aggression. Last game we only saw kind of the token aggression, like 4 or 5 Stalkers out at the front. Medevac about to complete. Tech lab on the way, and he gets into the main, which is incredibly... He's probably spotted the medevac here, but... he just left the door open. Border control getting lax here for the Terrans. As the Adept racks up a couple kills. In fact, he manages to shade, almost gets another one. 3 kills and a full scout is about as much as MaxPax could ever ask for. Meanwhile, the Hellion tried to come in. There is no third base. That is a very... well, he's going to see it now. At that third base, significantly later. Here comes the medevac. Widow Mines, always an existential threat. Not as dangerous as they once were, but still, very much can ruin the game for the Protoss. 4 kills, not bad, but loses the medevac and both mines. Well, one's trying to scamper away. Good luck with that. Maybe if I hide in the corner. Nope. MaxPax keeping great tabs on him. And the Stalkers. Into the natural. Enough of them to potentially snipe siege tanks as well. There's a lot of Marines here. They don't have stim or combat shield, though. Ghetto blinking back with the prism. And just juggling out. So smoothly done. So smooth. Greasing up those Stalkers as they bend the space-time continuum. And what's stopping him from just killing this bunker? Nothing. There's one siege tank somewhere. That Banshee does not have cloak. It does now, which may have just saved the game. Meanwhile, another Banshee. Back at home for MaxPax, and it looked like MaxPax was heading towards a decisive victory. Oh. There's an observer. He already had the robo. And the blink. He finds that right angle. There's still a lot of Stalkers sharking around. Stim is looking pretty vulnerable down here. Blinks in. Gonna snipe it off. Denied. And it's looking disastrous here for Clem. The Banshee trying to help out, but the supplies don't really tell the story. Clem without stim, without more tanks. MaxPax has total map control. Clem can't even get out of his base. In fact, he can't even necessarily be in his base. As the Blink Stalkers blunk in again, there goes the Banshee. There go the SCVs. And there goes Clem, 2 in a row for MaxPax. Another decisive victory. Wow. Well, MaxPax came to play today. Clem playing the less aggressive style, and you let MaxPax go at all. Just taking, you give him an inch and he'll take a kilometer. I would expect Clem is going to scale up the early aggression as we go into Amphion for game 3. I think giving up the initiative here to MaxPax on such a regular basis is clearly not paying off. Then again, these two play so... It's the MaxPax build! Wow. Wouldn't this be the creme de la creme? So, the first build that MaxPax was known for. He was first discovered, I believe, by Beastie Cutie, who, like many foreign Terran players, has now retired to AoE 4 as a retirement fund, but, it was MaxPax who first discovered that you could just, instead of proxying 2 gates, or 1 gate at home and 1 gate forward, you just proxy 1 gate. The Eco Cheese. Which, I mean, it's not designed to kill the Terran outright. And again, Clem's going for the 1-Rax expand. I do feel like this is Clem limit testing a little bit, because this is a significant split from his normal 2-gas aggression. He could, like, this could be a speed run here. As a Zealot is on the way, there's only going to be 1 Marine. He's going to have to pull SCVs. This is disastrous. In fact, MaxPax knows exactly what's going on. He can time this out perfectly. He knows a command center doesn't build instantly. So he can wait for a second Zealot to be almost done and get in right before the reactor finishes. 1 Marine! That's it! And whatever SCVs. Does he just give up the command center? With the second Zealot, I think he just give it up. I mean, you keep it here, so that way they have something to chew on and they don't just come kill you, but... yeah, he rebuilds it in the main now. There's going to be Stalkers on the way, but I think as each game goes on, Clem regretting more and more that 1-Rax expand. MaxPax is simply... MaxPax is tuned for that aggressive Clem, alright? And this is the passive kind of economic Clem facing off against the full throttle MaxPax. And it's just not matching up. Like, behind it, he's just expanded. He's building more gates back at home. The big vulnerability, you can't lift off your gateways. So... eventually, Clem should be able to break out and take out the gate, but the question is, how much damage will be done beforehand? Both emotional and physical. As the Zealots are just knocking on the door, chewing it down. He's going to lose the depot, it looks like. Indeed he does, and that supply blocks him. The Cyclone getting ahead of itself. Oh, he locks on, but... oh, that was a big mistake out of Clem. He just right-clicked down. I think he wanted to make sure he locked onto the Stalker, but now... that, well... losing that first Cyclone, that was probably the biggest mistake of the series so far. Which is saying something, considering MaxPax has a decisive 2-0, but it's really the first time we've seen Clem just outright lose something that he probably shouldn't have. Just shows how MaxPax has his number today. Gonna land the command center, pull some SCVs. Medevac about to complete. He knows it's not gonna get any easier as more gateways finish up. The Cyclone dodging some shots here, microing back and forth. And, well, technically you could dodge every shot from these Stalkers. And knowing Clem, whoop, yep, another one, not happening. And that will allow him to hold the high ground for now. Clem just has to micro absolutely pixel perfectly. Unfortunately, that was about not that. G. A single G, but we know what he meant. MaxPax, a clean and decisive execution of the World Champion. Wow. What a series. Some of the best from start to finish from MaxPax. And that brings us into our bonus series against Gumiho. For comparison, Gumiho, a very different sort of Terran. Our anti-spoiler bonus. You didn't expect... If you had seen a 30-minute or so series, MaxPax versus Clem going in, well, you're like, how does Clem cheese him 3 times? Well, guess what? That's not where we are here today. But we got what's admittedly probably not the longest best of 3 against Gumi Bro. But we'll see what the Admiral brings to the table here. This from Wardi's Weekly Cup, which, if you're watching this, you help support, because using a portion of Patreon to support it every week and have some more good games for the fans, since we're kind of in limbo, purgatory, both with the new patch and with ESL still taking its sweet time announcing any further tournament circuits or weekly tournaments or anything like that. Gumiho, where are you going? Is that an NG Bay block? No, no, he's gonna proxy factory. Just hanging out. Just one gas. Oh, one gas, but starport. Maybe just for Hellions. He sent the SCV out early so it wouldn't get seen by the probe, maybe? Zealot. MaxPax gonna wall off the Reaper. I'm not a huge fan of the Reaper walls. But for MaxPax, I think it makes a lot of sense. He trusts himself to micro those early units to such an extent. He can't be dealing with Reapers back at home at the same time. And he's usually so aggressive that he's able to keep the Terran units back at home, and the Reaper wall doesn't end up becoming a liability. What? Can he not see him? Yeah, you can see it. He has the high ground. You can't just hide. Though, I do like how we're watching the same situation play out, but that's not how it works. The standoff continues. Will they, won't they? He can definitely see him from the high ground. Wow. This is so similar to the Clem versus MaxPax. No, I believe this series was played before it, but yes, the designated Zealot hiding trees. But it's a proxy cyclone while expanding. So Gumiho all over the place. He's both going one Rex expand and also proxying the rest of his base, which is certainly yeah, you got him. Threw that grenade out. Delay mining very slightly. And very spitefully, most importantly. He's just gonna do a cyclone drop. Who does that? Now build the fusion core, Gumiho. The double clones. Well, this will hit because of the proxy. It will hit before there's blink. And in fact, before even all the gateways are up, which gives it some real potential here. MaxPax completely caught off guard. He's gonna see the second Rex, but the Cyclones just drop out into the main. They're two Stalkers, but probes are already dying. 4 probes. The Stalkers gonna struggle against this as the Cyclones do bonus damage to mechanical. Dodges some shots, killing some more probes off. Beautiful dodges from Gumiho, but he's got to be careful about overstaying his welcome. And he wasn't welcome at all. 5 SCVs dead. Gumiho! Gumiho probably... Wait, where are his Marines? Oh, no. Gumiho losing track of his own base while doing all this micro. He loses 6 SCVs. There's a mule not mining. Gumi, no. So any damage that Gumiho managed to do, if he didn't take any damage at home, I'd call this a win. But it's now very much a grayer area. And in fact, I would say, no, he killed 8 SCVs. And remember, Gumiho's base is on the wrong side of the map. Liberator about to siege up. That medevac still pinned back in the corner with a Cyclone in the orange. Another Cyclone in an awkward position. And MaxPax has deflected this all while doing extra aggression on the other side. Just a few units in the right place at the right time. I feel like against Clem is the only time we see someone who's able to push back against Gumiho. I mean, again, not against Gumiho, against MaxPax. Clem is the only one who can keep up on both sides. MaxPax really showing that Protoss also has the opportunity to be relentlessly aggressive early. It's just, your units are so expensive that losing any of them can be a critical economic blow. So, the stakes are higher, but also the rewards can be greater as well. Cyclone drop. Gumiho in a very awkward spot. Is he building? No, he's bringing the medevac back around. The Stalkers, though, may just be able to get it done on their own. Yeah, there's enough Marauders here. The MaxPax won't be able to break through directly, but what do we have here? Oh my god, the Cyclone drop came back for more. Kills probes very quickly. Gets a couple more. But MaxPax snipes off a Marauder, gets an SCV for a Marine, and even gonna go for some of the So smooth. Yeah. He doesn't make it look easy, but he makes it look plausible. Believe me, it's even harder than it looks. Gauging. Oh, there goes the Cyclone. He did blink down to snipe that, and he found the starport as well. But Gumiho does have a bio ball here. There's no charge. There's a few moments with these medevacs together, and before the gateways come online, Gumiho has potential here. His army supply is significantly greater. There are no Colossi. The Stalker's trying to whittle this down, but Gumiho has real kill potential with this. Very importantly, the shield battery is going to complete. And, well, it's time to go. Force field, optimistic. Charge is done. Some of the charge lots coming through. The shield battery in an awkward position now if he wants to overcharge it. The bio army trickling across the map. The main base for Gumiho is beset by zealots. Overrun. There will be nothing to go back to. It's do or die time for Gumiho. It's looking a lot more like the second one now as time goes on. He held on to that shield battery overcharge for so long, and Gumiho is knocked back. Definitely a different take on that sort of early aggression. But MaxPax showing that he can handle both sides of the map with relative ease. And Gumiho losing 8 SCVs to a Zealot and an Adept while trying to do aggression on the other side. Oh my god. Classic Diamond League move. But I killed so many probes. You had 2 idle mules and you lost 6 SCVs to a slow Zealot. Yeah, but Protoss Imba. There's nothing else to say, besides maybe even like and subscribe. If you agree or you want to disagree, that's the prerequisite. Game 2. MaxPax with a comfortable 1-0. High-speed probe harass as we chrono boost into Game 2. Marine first. Interesting, we're not seeing any of these Terrans go for the double gas. Is there some sort of agreement that were there some rules against it? I am very much of the opinion that double gas is near a requirement against Protoss as Terran. Like, against a Protoss who will take every sort of advantage, like MaxPax. You need to have that tech early. You need better units than just Marines in a bunker. Widowmine drops don't have... Especially, well, I don't even know. If we didn't nerf the Widowmine, I still think MaxPax would be fine against him. He's just leveled up so much that they look like a waste of money most of the time against him. He's just gotten so good at deflecting it. Starport already on the way. Gumiho does get his second gas quickly after expanding on the high ground. And it's going to be a Stargate out of MaxPax. Mixing it up. Trying to... Like, I don't want to just go Blink Stalkers every game. I'm too good at the Blink Stalkers. All right, let's try something different. You know, in a somewhat ironic scenario, usually Protoss has thrived the most in StarCraft 2 by having like a deck of cheese. All right, a wheel of it even. A variety. But MaxPax has proven that you can pretty much like Terrans have done for most of StarCraft 2's history, and also StarCraft 1, from my understanding. Much like Terrans, you can just do the same build pretty much every single game, maybe with slight variations based on the map, and work from there. Now, MaxPax's not doing that same Blink build. It's going to be Phoenixes. An interesting choice. I do wonder whether this is just trying something out, or if he sees this as a better response. The early Phoenixes completely shut down Cyclones. They're pretty good against Widowmon drops. They're helpful against tank pushes, but against straight up bio, usually pretty mediocre. And in this case, somewhat interestingly, a medevac with Marines in it is a pretty decent counter. Though, the boosted medevac actually faster, only slightly than the Phoenixes. Unboosted, of course, is another story. You see, there's no repairing once they get through the shields. Starport drops it down. And the Phoenix is another main benefit, just that constant scouting. In the new patch, it'll be interesting to see with the hallucinated Phoenix scouting early, how builds change it up. And also making it much harder to defend without shield battery overcharge. MaxPax himself has said Protoss versus Terran early mid-game is harder in the new patch, which I'm not entirely sure was the intent, but Terrans twirl their mustaches. 3 SCVs dead, but loses a Phoenix. Gumiho, building up to a 2-base tank push. The question will be, how many? Not if he pulls the boys, but how many of the boys will be coming across the map? There's no third command center. There's barely enough production to keep up here. It's going to be an all-out attack. He's building Vikings, which indicates he wants to win outright here. An engineering bay on the way. No, where are the Tecta boys? The observer spots every single little bit of this. All right, a couple Tecta boys. He's trying to pick them up, but kind of finds an awkward angle there. And the Vikings, whoa, almost take it out. This is gonna be a dangerous one. That SCV. Job's finished. Billy! It's not we didn't even start. That's one version of finished when you think about it philosophically. Get off TikTok, Billy! MaxPax, this is not enough stuff. Okay, the force field. The obligatory force field to use your sentry energy in some way. I'm never sure what those force fields are supposed to accomplish, as even MaxPax has yet to be able to make force field seem very useful against Terran. Siege tank shelling. There's no combat shield, just stim. But the 4 siege MaxPax doesn't really have any units. Stargates, Robo, and Robo Bay are quite expensive. And Gumiho just walking up. How many Phoenixes? 3 Phoenixes left. But, oh, he scans up to the high ground, obliterating the Immortal. Almost gets it there. The Vikings will... Is he just dead? Alright, so Gumiho here demonstrating why pretty much every single game is Blink Stalkers for the Protoss. As the sheer investment required to get this level of tech for MaxPax is far too great. And Gumiho just... Honestly, this looking more one-sided than a Mobius strip here. MaxPax kind of carved away at a few SCVs, shaved a couple tanks off, but Gumio just kind of walked up, sieged up, and now we'll be going up one more game that Clem was able to accomplish in an entire series. And suddenly we got a series on our hands. Oh, well, it's not over yet, but in a much more real sense, it super duper is. MaxPax does not have the units, the economy, the tech, or the tenacity to survive this. Gumiho claims one. He's on the board. The Terrans fight back. For now. The decider. We'll see what Gumiho comes up with for us. MaxPax tried something different. I have strong expectations of Blink being back on the menu as we get into Ghost River. I think part of it is just so good with the Blink Stalkers. Blink Stalkers do not require another tech building. Well, you need the Twilight, obviously, but the Stargate itself at 150 gas, and you can't outright win games with a Stargate. Yes, maybe in the Gold League, but you can't. You're not going to kill them with... You literally can't win the game with Phoenixes. They do not kill buildings. So, not that that's the relevant part, but that's part of the issue, is if the Terran doesn't get slowed down, if they're not sandbagged by those Phoenixes or take severe economic hits, they peak with that 2-base tank push well before the Protoss has enough. Well, either use it on 2-base, and then there's no real advantage, or you take a 3rd base, but there's a window where the Terran army is just stronger. And Gumiho took full advantage of it. That window's before you get the rest of your tech online, which by necessity is a lot of extra gas. You got to get either a Robo Bay, or go to a Twilight, add on more gates. Like, there's a lot of infrastructure costs, and infrastructure is a worthy investment, but expensive and takes time to pay off. So, as much as I'd love to see more Stargate play, I doubt it. 3, 2, Twilight. Thank you. The Twilight Toss, back in action. Adept drives back the Reaper. Gumiho did go for the double gas this time. Adept's chasing. He knows the timing so well. There's no Cyclone out. Oh no. The command center on the low ground. He thought he was safe. But MaxPax, and he hunts the SCV, and he shades away. And barely takes any real damage. He's so good. Gumiho building his own bulwark against the... well, almost certain Blink Stalkers. Medevac is the choice. Ghost River does have that quick air distance you can really work with. Stalker spots the Reapers. Papers, please. Fortunately, they never learned how to read. Adepts once again driving him back. Will he try to bait him into the clone? Now this is gonna get weird. He just walks by, understanding the scenario, trying to save one of the Adepts. Actually, Gumiho takes it out. MaxPax biting off more than he can metaphorically chew. Obviously, Protoss don't have mouths, but... very interesting. Gumiho much more focused on having those early options. Clem, on the other hand, was clearly building up into much more kind of 100 supply, 150 supply compositions. Gumiho specializing in these early timings. But unfortunately, MaxPax has kept it at bay. He's kept him busy. And now, Gumio will have to sit back, build up. He doesn't even have a tank in production. He only has one tank right now. Tank production is usually a top priority. He gets a Liberator, War Prism, blinks into the main despite seeing this army. The confidence here from MaxPax. Dodges the lock-on. There's a Liberator on the way across. Any observers? Yes, but they didn't spot the Liberators. It snuck along the coastline to the north side. Why did I say that so aggressively? The coastline. Alright, it was a dark and stormy night on Ghost River. And the real scary part, no EMPs. Oh, right. The Blink Stalkers in position to invade the main base yet again. And here we are. Wow, that's a lot of Stalkers. 11 Stalkers, and there goes Stim. Did you need that? Well, denied. Liberator Siege is up. MaxPax pulls back quickly. Loses 3 probes, but kind of hard to avoid. 7 SCVs dead. And so, oh my god. He only lost 1 Stalker throughout this. The Liberator finds another angle, but the Stalkers blink in to deal with it directly. Gumio not microing against the probes till the end. Kills 4 probes for the Liberator. MaxPax just with advantages on every front. He sniped off Stim, which means no real dangerous timing. He's got a 3rd base done. He already has that robo. He's building 5 more gates charge +1. Well, in full command of the situation. Gonna sacrifice a Stalker or 2. In fact, he might be able to just take it from here. Blinks his way out. A staggered blink back. Always maintaining some calm under fire. If he blinks all the way out, he kills probably half as much. But he gets like 5-6 more Marines and a Cyclone on the way out. And maintains most of the Stalkers. And the real stopping power of Gumio, the siege tanks, have already been whittled down. On top of delaying Stim, the Blank Stalkers just getting so much more done than the Phoenixes ever could. He has 4 Zealots ready in a Prism. The moment, I think at this stage, he's just kind of waiting for Gumio to try to move out. And then he'll move in again. Single medevac with 8 Marines. This is a desperation move. It's like, I gotta do something. But he's cutting into his actual army count to the extent that he might not even be able to deal with the Blink Stalkers sitting outside his base. MaxPax just setting up a 4th. He's got a Warp Prism doubling as an observer here. Not only is it waiting to drop out the charge lots, but he's in position to see any medevacs sneaking by as well. Oh my, he just knocked a medevac out of the sky. I don't know if there were any units in it, but there aren't any more. No combat shield because there was only 1 tech lab and Stim was delayed so dramatically. Combat shield already queued up. Observer spotting. The Zealots. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans, so he's keeping an eye on everything. That's a bit awkward. The tickle beams. There's not actually any Stalkers there. Whoop. Getting caught a little off guard. Couple Zealots. Oh, down goes another medevac. Blink Stalkers in the main. A few charge lots to absorb damage. Blinks back. This is an execution. Like, Gumio hasn't lost. But it's so clear, and Gumio knows it too. Alright, Gumio's very aware of his position. His best chance is turtling to 200 supply now. He can't even move out anymore. His best chance is fighting with his maximum army supply. But here come the charge lots. As Gumio, why did you pop out of the bunker? Why would you do that? Oh no. And he jumps on the army at the same time. Gumio sprinting backwards. Down go 2 tanks. Zealots in the main. It's like Zerglings, except they're Zealots. That's it. MaxPax just slices him apart. Yeah, a little bit of a hiccup with the Phoenix game. He tried something new. But back to the classics with the Blink Stalkers. Just taking out the world champion. And unfortunately, Gumiho just not on the same level. Though, wow, MaxPax looking incredible right now. Some of the blood... I feel like I say this every time. But it's true again. The best Blink Stalker micro in the world. The best Protoss micro in the world. And I don't think it's very close at this point. Wow. MaxPax with a decisive victory over two of the best Terrans out there. And hopefully something that made your day a little bit better. And even if you're Terran, you gotta respect it, in my opinion. I'm 1/3 Terran myself. It's alright. Some of my best friends are Terran. Just kidding. Terrans don't have friends. But if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome if you could check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing. It's still free, at least for now. And make sure to check out Wardi, link below. Check out the channel. If you're not a vampire like me, you can watch live and support the tournaments as well. But otherwise, I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.